The TSA agent's eyes locked on to Malik Chen's wrist. "Sir, I need you to remove that watch." Malik was already late. His company's biggest investor meeting of the year started in 3 hours, and he still had a 2-hour flight ahead of him. But he complied, unstrapping the Patek Philippe and placing it in the gray bin. The agent, whose name tag read Brad Stevens, picked up the watch and turned it over in his hands. His expression shifted from routine inspection to something else entirely: suspicion, disbelief. "Where did you get this?" Brad asked. Malik blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "This watch. Where did you get it?" "I purchased it." "Why?" He called over his supervisor, a stern woman named Linda Marshall. She examined the watch, then looked at Malik with the same suspicious expression. "Sir, this appears to be an extremely expensive timepiece. We're going to need to verify its authenticity and ownership." Malik felt his jaw tighten. He was the founder and CEO of Nextech Solutions, a cybersecurity firm with 500 employees and annual revenue of $340 million. He'd been on the cover of Forbes. He'd been invited to testify before Congress about data security. And now he was being interrogated about whether he could afford his own watch. "Verify it how?" Malik asked, keeping his voice level despite the anger building in his chest. "We need proof of purchase, a receipt. For a watch I bought 2 years ago? I don't carry receipts for personal items when I travel." Linda's expression hardened. "Then we'll need to hold the watch pending further investigation. You're free to board your flight, but the watch stays here." The security line behind Malik was backing up. People were staring. Some were filming. And Malik made a split-second decision that would change everything. He pulled out his phone and dialed his executive assistant. "Rachel, cancel the Miami investor meeting. Reschedule for tomorrow. Yes, all of them. And get our legal team on the phone, now." Linda's eyes narrowed. "Sir, there's no need to be dramatic." "Dramatic?" Malik's voice was still calm, but there was steel in it now. "You're confiscating my personal property without cause. You're implying that a black man couldn't possibly afford a $50,000 watch through legitimate means. And you're doing it in front of hundreds of witnesses. So yes, this is dramatic, and it's about to get more dramatic." Within 5 minutes, 3 things happened simultaneously. First, Malik's attorney, Jennifer Park, was on speakerphone. "Don't let them take the watch. They have no legal authority to confiscate personal property without probable cause of a crime. Ask them to state specifically what law they believe you've broken." Second, a passenger who'd been watching the entire exchange stepped forward. "Excuse me, I'm Robert Jameson, and I run a luxury watch authentication business. I can verify that watch's authenticity right now if that's what this is about." He pulled out his own phone, showing his business credentials and certifications. Third, Malik's VP of Communications had already drafted a statement and posted it to their company's social media. "Our CEO is being detained at airport security, accused of not being able to afford his own watch. This is racial profiling. We're documenting everything." The post went up at 9:47 a.m. By 9:52 a.m., it had 15,000 shares. Linda realized she was losing control of the situation. "Sir, we're just following protocol." "Then show me the protocol. Show me the TSA regulation that allows you to confiscate legal property without evidence of wrongdoing." She couldn't, because no such regulation existed. Robert Jameson, the watch authenticator, examined the Patek Philippe with practiced ease. "This is absolutely genuine. Serial number matches the model. Craftsmanship is flawless. This is a 2022 Nautilus worth approximately $52,000 at current market value. There's no question about its authenticity." Brad and Linda exchanged uncomfortable glances. Malik's attorney's voice came through the phone speaker, sharp and clear. "You have 30 seconds to return my client's property, or I'm filing for an immediate injunction and a federal civil rights lawsuit. 29, 28. At 23 seconds, Linda handed back the watch. But Malik wasn't done. "I want your full names, badge numbers, and the name of your supervisor. I want the security footage from this checkpoint for the past hour, and I want to know how many other passengers you've questioned about their personal property today." "Sir, that information is..." public record under FOIA requests, which my legal team is already preparing. You can make this easy or difficult, but either way, I'm getting answers." The airport's head of security arrived 10 minutes later. By then, Malik's post had gone viral. News outlets were picking it up. His company's employees were flooding social media with support, and the hashtag Watchgate was trending nationally. Malik missed his flight. He missed the investor meeting that had taken months to arrange. But he didn't care anymore, because what started as a humiliating encounter at airport security had become something bigger. He spent the next 4 hours in the airport security office, his attorney on video call, reviewing footage and documentation. What they discovered was explosive. In the previous 6 months at that security checkpoint, TSA agents had questioned the ownership of expensive items belonging to passengers 47 times. Luxury watches, designer bags, high-end electronics. Of those 47 incidents, 43 involved Black or Latino passengers. White passengers with identical or more expensive items, 0 questions asked. The pattern was undeniable, and it was documented in the airport's own security logs. Malik's legal team filed a federal discrimination lawsuit within 48 hours. But the real pressure came from somewhere unexpected: his company. Nextech Solutions had been negotiating a major contract with the airport authority, a $12 million cybersecurity upgrade for their entire network system. The contract was days away from being signed. Malik was supposed to finalize it at a meeting the following week. Instead, he canceled it. "We don't do business with organizations that discriminate against our CEO. The airport authority can find another cybersecurity firm," he announced in a press conference. The airport authority panicked. $12 million was bad enough, but the PR nightmare was worse. Major corporations started questioning their own contracts with the authority. Airlines that use the airport faced customer boycotts, and 3 other tech companies publicly withdrew their bids for airport contracts in solidarity with Malik. Within a week, the airport authority's board of directors called an emergency meeting. Brad Stevens was terminated. Linda Marshall was demoted and required to complete extensive retraining. And the entire TSA checkpoint staff underwent mandatory anti-bias training. But Malik wanted more than firings. He wanted systemic change. His lawsuit demanded the implementation of new protocols, mandatory body cameras for all TSA agents at that airport, quarterly audits of all property questioning incidents with demographic data publicly reported, an independent review board to investigate discrimination complaints, and a compensation fund for other passengers who could prove similar treatment. The airport authority settled for $3.7 million. Malik donated every penny to organizations fighting racial profiling and discrimination. But the most significant change came from the business pressure. The airport authority, desperate to repair relations with corporate clients, implemented the strictest anti-discrimination policies of any major airport in the country. They hired an outside consulting firm to audit every aspect of their security operations and created a passenger bill of rights prominently displayed at every checkpoint. 6 months after the watch incident, Malik was invited back to that same airport for a very different reason. They wanted him to speak at the unveiling of their new anti-discrimination training program. They wanted him to advise on their reformed policies, and they wanted to publicly apologize. Malik accepted, not because he'd forgiven them, but because he wanted to see the changes with his own eyes. At the event, the airport authority's director stood at a podium and said something remarkable. "We thought we were protecting travelers by questioning expensive items. What we were actually doing was assuming that people of color couldn't possibly have earned the success they had achieved. Mr. Chen's case opened our eyes to a pattern of bias we'd been blind to, and we're grateful he didn't let us sweep it under the rug." Malik stood in the audience wearing that same Patek Philippe. It wasn't just a watch anymore. It was a symbol of everything he had fought for and won. After the ceremony, a young black woman approached him. "I'm a software engineer," she said quietly. "Last year, they questioned my laptop at security, asked how I could afford a MacBook Pro. I didn't say anything. I was too scared. Thank you for fighting back." Malik realized then that his missed investor meeting had been worth it. The delayed contract had been worth it, because his refusal to accept discrimination quietly had created space for others to be treated with dignity. Here's what makes this story different from typical discrimination cases. Malik Chen had power, and he used it strategically. Most people who experience profiling at airports have no leverage. They file complaints that go nowhere. They accept humiliation because fighting back feels impossible. But Malik had resources, a platform, and, critically, a $12 million contract the airport desperately wanted. When he pulled that contract, he didn't just hurt the airport financially. He sent a message to every organization watching. Discrimination has consequences that go far beyond legal settlements. It costs business relationships, corporate partnerships, and public trust. Within a year of Malik's case, 17 other airports nationwide proactively reformed their security protocols, not because they were sued, but because they were terrified of becoming the next viral discrimination scandal. That's the power of strategic pressure. The $50,000 watch was never really the issue. It was the assumption behind the question, the belief that Black success must be explained, justified, or verified in ways that white success never is. Malik's story proves that sometimes the most effective weapon against discrimination isn't just legal action. It's economic leverage. It's public pressure. It's the willingness to sacrifice short-term opportunities for long-term change. If this story made you think differently about how to fight discrimination, hit that subscribe button. I bring you these stories because they show us that power comes in many forms, and using it wisely can create change beyond any one person's experience. Drop a comment. Do you think economic pressure is more effective than lawsuits in fighting discrimination? Let's discuss. Share this video because Malik's $50,000 watch cost that airport $3.7 million in legal fees, $12 million in lost contracts, and millions more in damaged reputation. Sometimes, the best revenge is making discrimination too expensive to ignore. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.